Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. Introduction. Imagine this for a moment. You work hard your entire life. You save diligently, sacrifice vacations, delay adventures, skip moments with your family, all to grow your bank account. You picture yourself finally enjoying life one day when you retire, when the timing feels right, when everything is perfect. But what happens? You reach that golden age. Your health isn't what it used to be. Time has slipped through your fingers. And suddenly, you realize your greatest investment, the one that truly matters, was never in your savings account. It was in the memories you could have made, the experiences you postponed, the life you were too afraid to fully live. And now, your bank account is full. But your heart is empty. What if I told you there's a better way? A way to live life to the fullest, without the crushing fear of running out of money. A way to maximize joy, create unforgettable experiences, and still be financially wise? That's exactly what today's video is about. We're diving deep into Die with Zero by Bill Perkins, a book that flips traditional thinking about money on its head. This isn't just another financial guide. It's a blueprint for living richly, intentionally, and without regret. For generations, we've been taught to save, 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 to sacrifice today for an uncertain tomorrow. But Bill Perkins asks a daring question. What's the point of dying with millions in the bank if you've barely lived? Why spend decades collecting wealth if you never use it to enrich your life? This video will challenge everything you've been conditioned to believe about success, security, and happiness. And trust me, you'll never look at money, time, or your own life the same way again. Here's what you'll learn today. How to stop hoarding your wealth and start investing in the only thing that truly matters: life experiences. You'll discover why timing is everything when it comes to both money and happiness, and how waiting too long often means missing the window altogether. And most importantly, you'll learn how to live fully, intentionally, without the constant fear of running out of money. This isn't about reckless spending or financial irresponsibility. It's about using your resources wisely, at the right time, to craft a life filled with adventure, connection, and purpose. Throughout this video, I'll share practical strategies straight from the book, inspiring real-world stories, and powerful questions to help you rethink your approach to wealth and to life itself. So buckle in, because by the end of this, you'll be ready to stop saving for the grave and start living for today. Let's dive in. Section 1. Maximize life experiences, not bank balances. Let me ask you something personal. When you close your eyes and think about your life's greatest moments, what comes to mind? Is it the digits in your bank account? The balance in your retirement fund? Or is it the sunsets you watched on a beach with your loved ones? The laughter of friends during late-night adventures? The thrill of seeing a new place, conquering a challenge, or simply feeling alive? Be honest with yourself, because here's the hard truth. No one remembers the size of your savings account at your funeral, but they'll talk for hours about the kind of life you lived, the stories you created, and the experiences that shaped you. In Die with Zero, Bill Perkins presents a concept that flips traditional financial thinking upside down. Stop obsessing over maximizing your bank balance. Instead, maximize your life experiences. It sounds simple, but for most people, this is the hardest mindset shift to make. We've been taught to believe that our worth is tied to our wealth. The higher the savings, the more successful we are. But Perkins challenges that deeply ingrained belief. He reminds us that money is not the goal. It's the tool. The real goal? A life so rich with experiences, memories, and joy that you wouldn't trade it for all the zeros in the world. Think about it. What's the point of dying with a massive fortune if you've barely lived? If you've sacrificed your best years, your health, your relationships, all in pursuit of a number on a screen? That's not success. That's regret. And sadly, it happens more often than we'd like to admit. People put off experiences, telling themselves they'll travel one day, they'll spend time with loved ones when work calms down, they'll explore their passions after retirement. But life doesn't always follow our schedule. Health declines, opportunities vanish, and sometimes, one day never comes. Here's what Perkins wants you to understand. Every dollar you earn holds the potential to unlock a life experience. But if you hoard it indefinitely, it loses its true value. Money isn't meant to be stockpiled like trophies. It's meant to fuel the moments that make life worth living. That doesn't mean being reckless with your finances. It means being intentional. It means asking yourself, am I using my resources to enrich my life today? Or am I just collecting numbers for some future that may never come? Let me share a real-world story to illustrate this. I knew someone. We'll call him James. James was the textbook definition of responsible. He worked tirelessly, saved aggressively, lived frugally. His dream was to retire early, then travel the world, explore new cultures, and finally enjoy the fruits of his labor. But James kept pushing the date back. Just one more year to save more, he'd say. Unfortunately, that year never came. A sudden health diagnosis at 58 changed everything. His body couldn't handle the long-haul flights, the mountain hikes, the adventures he dreamed of. He had the money, but the time, the health, the opportunity? Gone. His bank balance was impressive, but his memory bank was nearly empty. That's not how life is meant to be lived. And James isn't alone. So many people fall into the same trap, overvaluing their bank statement, undervaluing their present experiences. They delay joy, thinking they're being wise, but often they're gambling with time, the most precious resource of all. That's the danger of chasing a high bank balance at the expense of life itself. Perkins urges us to flip that equation. Instead of asking, how much can I save? Ask, how much life can I experience with the resources I have? It's a radical shift, from accumulation to intentional enjoyment. But it's the only way to ensure you don't reach the end of your life wondering where all the time and opportunities went. So, how do you apply this practically? Start by reevaluating your relationship with money. View it as a tool for experiences, not just security. Look at your budget and ask, what experiences am I delaying? What memories can I create now? Maybe it's traveling to a place you've always dreamed of. Maybe it's spending more quality time with your family, even if it means working fewer hours. Maybe it's investing in learning a new skill, pursuing a passion, or simply making space for joy. It's about being intentional with your spending, not reckless, but purposeful. You still plan, you still save, but you balance it with living. Because the best return on investment isn't sitting in your account. It's sitting in your heart, in your mind, in the stories you'll tell for the rest of your life. And here's the question I want you to reflect on right now. Pause everything for a moment and truly consider this. If today was your last day, would your memories outweigh your bank statement? Would you feel proud of how you've spent your time and resources? Or would there be regret for the adventures postponed, the opportunities missed, the life left unlived? Because here's the thing. Money comes and goes, but time only moves in one direction. You can always earn more money, but you can never buy back yesterday. And at the end of your life, it won't be your accountant holding your hand. It'll be the people you love, the memories you've created, and the experiences that made your life rich beyond numbers. So, starting today, I challenge you to shift your mindset. Stop measuring success by your bank balance alone. Start maximizing life experiences, building memories, and living intentionally. That's what Die with Zero is all about. Not dying broke, but dying fulfilled. With a heart full of stories, a mind rich with memories, and no regrets about the life you lived. The journey starts now. Section 2. Optimize your life for time, money, and health. Picture life as a delicate balancing act between three crucial resources: time, money, and health. Imagine these three as pillars holding up the roof of your most meaningful experiences. But here's the catch: they rarely peak at the same moment. When you're young, you have time and health, but often no money. As you enter your prime earning years, you start building wealth, but your health slowly starts to fade, and free time becomes scarce. And finally, when you're older and wealth is at its peak, you may lack the health or energy to truly enjoy it. This timing dilemma is one of the core messages Bill Perkins shares in Die with Zero. The sweet spot for unforgettable life experiences happens when time, money, and health align. But if you wait too long, that window slams shut. Most of us are conditioned to delay life's joys. We believe the responsible thing is to work hard now, stack money, save for retirement, and only then, maybe decades later, start checking off that bucket list. But life isn't that predictable, and that formula doesn't always work. Perkins argues that this conventional approach often leads to a tragic outcome. By the time you have the wealth to fund your dreams, your body no longer cooperates, and your time is slipping away. Think about it. You can have all the money in the world, but what good is it if you're too exhausted, too sick, or too old to use it meaningfully? Conversely, having time and health but no money leaves you stuck in frustration, unable to turn dreams into reality. That's why understanding the delicate timing of these three resources is crucial for living fully. The key is to optimize your life by recognizing when those rare moments occur, those periods where your finances, physical health, and free time align, and seizing them without hesitation. That doesn't mean spending recklessly or abandoning long-term plans. It means intentionally weaving experiences into your life at the right times, based on your current stage of life, your energy levels, and your available resources. Let me give you a real-world story that perfectly illustrates this concept. I once knew a man named Daniel, a dedicated professional, disciplined saver, and loving family man. Daniel dreamed of traveling the world with his wife, exploring exotic destinations, and making unforgettable memories. But every time the idea came up, he pushed it aside. "We'll do it when we retire," he'd say. "We need to save a little more, just to be safe." Years passed, the kids grew up, the mortgage was paid off, and finally, Daniel and his wife had the money. But there was a problem, a devastating health diagnosis. His wife's mobility declined rapidly, and within months, those long-awaited trips became impossible. The savings were there, the plans were there, but the health? Gone. I still remember the heartbreak in Daniel's voice when he said, "We thought we were being smart, but we waited too long." They had postponed joy, traded potential memories for financial security, only to discover that life's timing doesn't always play by our rules. This is exactly the cautionary tale Bill Perkins warns against. Yes, saving is wise. Planning is smart. But delaying life indefinitely, waiting for the perfect moment to enjoy your resources, often backfires. The truth is, the ideal intersection of time, money, and health is rare and fleeting. When it arrives, you have to grab it with both hands. So how do you apply this practically in your own life? Start by doing a personal audit. Look at your current situation, your age, your energy, your health status, your financial standing. Ask yourself honestly, where do I stand in the triangle of time, money, and health? Maybe you're young and full of energy, with modest finances. That's still an opportunity to create meaningful, lower-cost experiences. Adventures don't always require luxury. Maybe you're entering your prime earning years. Money's growing, but time feels limited. That's a signal to intentionally carve out space for experiences now, rather than waiting for some distant retirement. And if you're older, with strong finances but declining health, it's about focusing on the types of experiences still accessible and meaningful to you today, before they slip away entirely. It's also about planning your big experiences strategically. Perkins suggests creating a timeline of life's stages. Think about your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. What experiences belong in each decade based on your expected health and energy? High-adventure travel or physically demanding pursuits belong earlier. More relaxed, reflective experiences can come later. But the point is to match your life's seasons with the appropriate memories, so you're not trying to backpack through Asia when your body says no, or regretting that you never tried when you could. Let's face it, life doesn't send calendar reminders when your health or time starts to decline. It sneaks up quietly. That's why intentional living is non-negotiable. Don't wait for the perfect time. It rarely arrives. Instead, find the sweet spots where your resources align and go after those experiences. Here's your reflective challenge, and I urge you to pause. Really think about this. Look at your calendar and your bank account. What are you delaying that you could experience now? Is it a dream trip? Quality time with loved ones? Pursuing a passion project? Improving your health to prolong that alignment window? Too many people live in someday mode. They'll travel someday. They'll slow down someday. They'll live fully later. But someday isn't promised. The clock is ticking, and the triangle of time, money, and health never stands still. You don't want to be like Daniel, staring at a well-padded bank account, but empty-handed when it comes to life's most precious memories. You want to design a life where your resources serve your experiences, not just your savings account. So, take a hard look at where you stand right now. Plan for the future, yes, but live for today. Find that intersection of time, money, and health, and use it. Don't wait until it's too late to realize that the most valuable currency isn't dollars. It's memories, relationships, and the life you chose to live while you still had the chance. The sweet spot is now. Go claim it. Section 3. Invest early in memorable experiences. Imagine for a moment that experiences are like financial investments, but instead of growing your bank balance, they grow your memory bank. And just like financial investments, the earlier you start, the greater the returns. That's the beauty of memorable experiences. They have a compounding effect. The earlier you create them, the longer you get to enjoy their emotional dividends. That's one of the most powerful lessons from Die with Zero by Bill Perkins. Don't defer your most meaningful experiences to the distant future. Invest early while you're young, healthy, and capable. But let me be clear, when we talk about investing in experiences, this isn't some reckless call to drain your savings overnight on spontaneous luxuries. No, this is about intentional living, prioritizing experiences that enrich your life broaden your perspective, and create stories you'll cherish forever. The earlier you make those investments, the richer your life becomes, not just financially, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Perkins explains that while material things may satisfy you temporarily, memories satisfy you for life. They become stories you tell, moments you reflect on during hard times, and part of the legacy you leave behind. And just like with money, time is your greatest advantage when building a wealth of experiences. The problem is, many people delay those experiences, thinking there's always time. They assume they can travel, explore, and live fully later, after they've earned enough, saved enough, or retired. But here's the hard truth. Waiting too long means missing the window when your health, energy, and curiosity are at their peak. Worse still, by the time you finally act, life's circumstances may have shifted, making those experiences impossible. Let me illustrate this with a real-world example. Meet Alex and Mark, two friends, similar backgrounds, but completely different approaches to life. Alex, in his early 20s, decided he wasn't going to wait for retirement to live. He saved diligently, yes, but he also made it a priority to travel, explore the world, and pursue adventures while he was young. He backpacked through Southeast Asia, climbed mountains in South America, immersed himself in cultures far beyond his comfort zone. Sure, his savings account didn't grow as fast as some of his peers, but his memory bank was overflowing. Now, fast forward to Mark. He believed in hard work and sacrifice, so he put his head down, worked long hours, and told himself there would be time for adventure after retirement. He saved aggressively, invested wisely, but postponed nearly every meaningful experience, always saying, "One day." By the time Mark hit his 60s, his financial portfolio looked great, but his knees didn't. His health had declined, and the adventures he once dreamed of were now impractical, if not impossible. Alex, decades later, still reflects on his early travels, his adventures shaping not just his memories, but his perspective on life. Mark, on the other hand, was left with money, but a heart full of regret for the experiences he never prioritized. That's the compounding effect of experiences. The earlier you create them, the longer they enrich your life. Memories from your 20s or 30s stay with you for decades. They color your conversations, influence your worldview, and bring joy even in later years. Conversely, if you postpone them indefinitely, you lose not just the experience itself, but the lifetime of satisfaction that comes with it. Now, you might be thinking, but isn't it irresponsible to spend money on experiences when I could be saving or investing for the future? And that's a valid question, but Perkins would argue that the greatest investment is in living a life worth remembering. Of course, balance matters. This isn't about abandoning responsibility. It's about recognizing that the value of experiences often outweighs the temporary security of additional savings, especially when you're young and capable. Think of it like this. Material possessions depreciate, memories appreciate. That car you buy today? It'll lose value the moment you drive off the lot. But that road trip across the country? The memories only grow richer with time. The expensive gadget you splurge on? Outdated in a year. But the time you spend exploring the world, building relationships, or challenging yourself, those dividends last a lifetime. And here's the hidden bonus. Investing early in experiences often shapes your personal and professional growth in ways that material accumulation never could. Travel, new challenges, stepping outside your comfort zone. These experiences build resilience, creativity, and perspective. They make you a more well-rounded individual, which can translate to success in your career, relationships, and overall fulfillment. It's also worth mentioning that life doesn't always go according to plan. You may assume your health will hold steady, your circumstances will stay stable, and opportunities will always be there. But life has a way of throwing curveballs. Waiting for the perfect time is risky because that time may never come. Your energy, health, or even relationships may shift in ways you can't predict. That's why Perkins emphasizes acting sooner rather than later. So, how can you apply this practically? Start by identifying the experiences that matter most to you, the ones you've been deferring, telling yourself they can wait. Maybe it's traveling to a dream destination, starting a creative project, learning a new skill, or deepening relationships. Then, evaluate your current resources, not just money, but time, health, and energy. If you have enough to make those experiences possible now, don't delay. If the experience feels too ambitious, break it down. Start small, but start now. Even short, affordable adventures create lasting memories. The key is to act, to invest early in living fully, rather than waiting for some distant someday. Before we move on, I want to leave you with a powerful reflective question. What is one life-changing experience you've been postponing that you could plan today? Be honest. Maybe it's that trip you've dreamed of, reconnecting with a loved one, taking time off to recharge, or finally pursuing a passion. Whatever it is, don't let fear, overcautiousness, or busyness rob you of your memories. Remember, experiences compound. The earlier you invest, the richer your life becomes. So, stop waiting. Start living. Your future self will thank you. Section 4. Plan your life in stages. Life is a journey made up of distinct stages, each with its own opportunities, limitations, and unique flavor. Yet many people drift through life without recognizing that certain experiences are time-sensitive. They belong to specific seasons of life. Bill Perkins, in Die with Zero, teaches us a critical but often overlooked truth. You can't postpone every dream indefinitely. You can't climb Mount Everest at 80, dance the night away in Ibiza at 90, or backpack across remote landscapes when your body no longer cooperates. Timing matters, and that's why planning your life in stages is essential to truly living with no regrets. Think of life as a series of chapters, each offering its own adventures, challenges, and milestones. Your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. They each have an energy, a set of possibilities, and specific experiences that fit naturally within that window. Ignoring this reality leads to missed opportunities, regret, and often the sobering realization that you waited too long. It's easy to believe that life is linear, that the same opportunities will always be there, waiting patiently on the shelf until we're ready. But the truth is, life doesn't wait. Our health, energy, responsibilities, and circumstances change with time, and the window for certain experiences closes faster than most of us realize. That's why Perkins advocates for planning your life intentionally, mapping out your decades and aligning your dreams with your age, health, and capabilities. Let's break this down practically. Your 20s are often your most adventurous years. You have youth, energy, and, for many, fewer responsibilities. It's the ideal time for travel, exploration, and pushing physical boundaries. Backpacking through foreign countries, spontaneous road trips, extreme sports. These are experiences tailor-made for the vitality of youth. They create the stories that shape your identity and provide the foundation for a life well lived. Your 30s and 40s may bring more financial stability, career advancement, and family commitments. This stage isn't about abandoning adventure, but adjusting the focus. Maybe you invest in family experiences, travel with your children, cultural exploration, or building traditions. Perhaps you pursue intellectual growth, deeper relationships, or career milestones. You still create memories, but with a different lens, one that fits your evolving responsibilities. As you enter your 50s and 60s, your financial resources may peak, but your energy and health may begin to decline. This stage demands a new awareness. What experiences are still accessible and meaningful? Maybe it's luxury travel with comfort in mind, engaging in hobbies you love, or legacy projects that bring fulfillment. But it's also a time to recognize that certain physically demanding adventures may no longer be possible. And that's okay if you embrace them earlier. Your later years, your 70s and beyond, are often about reflection, legacy, and savoring life's simple pleasures. Connection with loved ones, storytelling, mentoring, and creating impact become the priorities. This stage isn't lesser, it's different. And the memories, wisdom, and relationships you've nurtured in earlier decades now become your most valuable treasures. The danger comes when people ignore these life stages, postponing everything to a mythical later. They assume they can have the same adventures at 70 that they could at 30, failing to recognize how aging shapes our reality. That's how people end up with full bank accounts but empty hearts, because they missed the moment when an experience belonged to them. Let me share a real-world example to bring this to life. I met two couples, both friends, but with completely different approaches to their life stages. The first couple, Sarah and David, understood the rhythm of life. In their 20s, they traveled extensively, backpacking through Asia, camping across Europe, living minimally but making memories. In their 30s, they focused on building careers and starting a family, but they continued to prioritize meaningful family experiences, traveling with their kids, creating traditions, and growing together. By their 50s, they were financially comfortable, healthy enough to enjoy luxurious but less strenuous travel, and filled with stories from decades of intentional living. The second couple, Brian and Linda, believed in sacrifice now, enjoyment later. They worked hard, saved aggressively, and put all adventures on hold. Their plan was simple: work until retirement, then travel the world. But by the time they hit their 60s, health issues emerged: mobility challenges, energy loss, and medical complications. The dream trips never happened. Their savings were intact, but the experiences slipped away. Sarah and David maximized each life stage, understanding that timing dictates possibility. Brian and Linda postponed everything, only to find the window closed. Their stories illustrate the heart of Perkins's message: live your life in alignment with your current stage. Don't treat your 20s like your 50s, or your 60s like your 30s. Honor the chapter you're in, and extract the unique experiences it offers. So, how do you apply this practically? Start by reflecting on your current stage of life. What are your capabilities, your health status, your resources? Then, map out your experiences with intention. Ask yourself, what adventures, goals, or experiences belong to this stage of life? What opportunities might disappear if I delay them? How can I design my life to honor both responsibility and adventure, both security and experience? It's also about recognizing that every stage of life offers something valuable. Youth provides energy and risk-taking. Middle age offers resources and perspective. Later years bring wisdom and reflection. None is better than the other. They're just different chapters with different scripts. And here's your reflective challenge for today. What stage of life are you in right now? and what experience perfectly fits this moment. Be brutally honest. Are you in your 20s, with the freedom to explore and push boundaries? Your 30s or 40s, with growing responsibilities but still craving adventure? Your 50s or 60s, balancing wealth with emerging limitations? Or later in life, ready to savor connection and legacy? Wherever you are, there's an experience calling your name, but you have to match it to the moment. Don't miss the opportunities unique to your current chapter because you're waiting for some perfect time that may never come. Life is a series of stages, and the art of living fully is knowing when to embrace each one for what it offers. Plan intentionally. Live boldly. Maximize your experiences at every age, and you'll reach the end of your story not with regrets, but with a rich, vibrant tapestry of memories perfectly aligned with every chapter you lived. Section 5. Aim to die with zero. What if everything you've been taught about money is missing the point? For most of us, the financial goal drilled into our heads is simple. Save more, earn more, accumulate wealth, and die rich. But Bill Perkins, in his groundbreaking book, Die with Zero, flips this idea upside down and asks a far more important question. Are you building a fortune for the grave or a life worth remembering? The core principle of Die with Zero is revolutionary yet surprisingly logical. The ultimate financial goal isn't to accumulate endless wealth, but to use your money to create fulfillment, joy, and meaningful memories while you're alive. Because here's the undeniable truth. You can't take your money with you. When your time runs out, your bank account becomes irrelevant. What matters is the richness of the life you lived, the experiences you embraced, and the stories you created along the way. Sadly, too many people spend their lives chasing wealth, only to hoard it until it's too late to use. They miss out on adventures, delay passions, and sacrifice precious moments, all in the name of financial security. Then they die with overflowing bank accounts, but empty hearts, having postponed living for so long that the opportunity slipped away. Perkins argues that this isn't just unwise, it's tragic. Think about it this way. If you work your entire life, save diligently, and pass away with millions still sitting in the bank, that money represents missed opportunities, unclaimed experiences, adventures that never happened, relationships that weren't deepened, passions that were ignored. That wealth, instead of fueling your fulfillment, becomes nothing more than a symbol of hesitation, a reminder that you waited too long. Of course, this doesn't mean being reckless with your finances or ignoring future needs. Perkins isn't advocating for impulsive spending or irresponsible choices. Instead, he's promoting intentional, strategic living, calculating your savings trajectory in a way that allows you to spend down your resources meaningfully before life's inevitable end. It's about balance, wisdom, and most importantly, action. Let me share a real-world story that brings this concept to life. I once heard of a man named Charles, a successful entrepreneur who built an empire through hard work and relentless dedication. His bank account was impressive, his investments robust, his financial future secure. But Charles had one flaw. He believed in sacrificing today for tomorrow. There's always time to enjoy life later, he'd say. So he skipped vacations, postponed hobbies, and put off family adventures for decades. His focus was singular: build wealth, protect assets, grow the numbers. And he succeeded. By his late 60s, he was a multimillionaire. But by then, life had shifted. His health was fragile, his energy depleted, and his relationships strained from years of neglect. He realized, far too late, that he had built a fortune, but missed life's richness. The adventures he dreamed of were now impossible. The moments he delayed never returned. Charles, like many others, was wealthy in numbers but bankrupt in memories. His bank account was full, but his heart was heavy with regret. This is the cautionary tale Die with Zero warns us about. Money, left unused for fulfillment, becomes a wasted resource. It's not wealth itself that matters. It's how you leverage that wealth to enhance your life. The true measure of success isn't how much you die with. It's how well you lived with the resources you had. So, how do you apply this practically? It starts with shifting your mindset. Instead of aiming to die with millions untouched, aim to die with zero. Zero regrets, zero missed opportunities, zero unclaimed experiences. That doesn't mean spending recklessly or ignoring responsibilities. It means planning intentionally, so your wealth serves your life, not the other way around. Perkins encourages us to calculate our savings trajectory with the end in mind. Ask yourself, how much do I truly need to feel secure? What experiences, adventures, or contributions am I delaying unnecessarily? How can I structure my financial plan to allow for intentional spending on life-enriching experiences throughout each stage of life? This approach requires thoughtful planning, honest reflection, and sometimes courage to step outside your comfort zone. It's about understanding that your wealth is a tool for fulfillment, not a trophy to display. Every dollar unused for creating joy, connection, or growth is a missed opportunity. To bring this closer to home, imagine your bank account as a reservoir of potential experiences. You work hard to fill it, but if you never tap into that reservoir, you're simply collecting water that eventually evaporates, unused and unnoticed. Your money, your resources, your time, they exist to fuel the life you desire, to create the memories that last far beyond your final paycheck. Of course, everyone's zero will look different. For some, it means retiring with enough to cover essential needs, but choosing to spend aggressively on meaningful travel or family experiences. For others, it's about strategic giving, passing wealth to loved ones or causes while still alive to witness the impact. The point is to avoid dying with untouched resources that could have brought joy, connection, or growth earlier in life. And it's not just about money. Your time, energy, health, all finite resources that deserve intentional use. Waiting for the perfect moment to live often results in moments lost forever. Perkins reminds us that optimizing your life requires awareness of timing, capability, and alignment between your resources and your dreams. So here's your reflective challenge. Are you building a fortune for the grave or a life worth remembering? Look at your finances, your calendar, your dreams. Are you hoarding resources out of fear or using them boldly to create a meaningful, memorable life? Are you postponing experiences that your health, energy, or time may not allow later? Or are you seizing the moment, living intentionally, and ensuring your wealth enhances your life now, not after it's too late? The goal isn't recklessness, it's intentionality. It's about designing your financial life so that your resources align with your values, your dreams, and your deepest desires for fulfillment. Because at the end of the day, no one is celebrated for dying rich, but they are remembered for living richly. So, don't build a fortune for the grave. Build a life that's overflowing with memories, experiences, and joy. Plan wisely. Spend intentionally. Live fully. And aim to die with zero. Not because you wasted your wealth, but because you used it to create a life worth remembering. Section 6. Timing your financial gifts. When most people think about inheritance, they picture it as a grand gesture delivered after death, a final act of generosity that passes wealth to the next generation. But what if waiting until you're gone means the gift loses most of its value? In Die with Zero, Bill Perkins challenges the traditional approach to inheritance and financial gifts by posing a radical but simple truth: give while it matters most. The core principle is this: gifting your wealth to loved ones shouldn't be delayed until your will is read. Instead, it should be strategically timed to maximize its impact, to empower people when they can actually use it to transform their lives. Waiting until you pass away often turns your resources into an afterthought rather than the life-changing opportunity they could have been. Think about the arc of life. When do people most need financial support? It's not when they're already financially stable, retired, or winding down. It's during their early adulthood, when they're building their careers, starting families, paying off student loans, launching businesses, or navigating life's expensive milestones. An inheritance at 30 can spark growth, unlock opportunities, and relieve financial burdens. The same inheritance at 70? For most, it arrives too late to change anything meaningful. Perkins urges us to reframe giving, not as a future event tied to our death, but as an intentional, well-timed action that amplifies the lives of the people we care about while we're still here to witness the results. Because isn't the true joy of giving seeing how your support transforms someone's journey? Let me give you a real-world example that illustrates this perfectly. Meet two siblings, Emily and Richard. Both were set to receive a sizable inheritance from their parents. But the timing of those gifts couldn't have been more different. Emily's parents believed in Perkins's philosophy. They decided to gift her a portion of her inheritance when she was 30, right as she was facing student loan debt, trying to buy her first home, and starting a family. That money wasn't just a windfall, it was life-changing. It allowed Emily to pay off her loans, secure a stable home, invest in her children's education, and pursue passions she once thought were out of reach. More importantly, her parents got to share in her joy, seeing their support uplift her life in real time. Now, Richard's story took a different turn. Their parents reserved the rest of their estate for after their passing, believing it would be the most responsible option. By the time Richard received his inheritance, he was 70 years old, retired, with his children grown, and his major financial needs long behind him. The gift, though appreciated, didn't create new opportunities. It was more of a symbolic gesture, money arriving at a point when the window for meaningful change had largely closed. Emily's early inheritance fueled growth. Richard's late inheritance preserved wealth, but lacked transformational power. That contrast captures the heart of Perkins's argument. Timing your financial gifts is just as important as the amount. But this principle extends beyond large inheritances. It applies to any form of giving. Whether it's helping a loved one with education expenses, funding a business idea, supporting a down payment, or contributing to an experience that shapes their life. The key is to be intentional and strategic, aligning your gifts with moments of maximum impact rather than defaulting to tradition or fear-driven delay. Perkins also addresses a common concern. What if I give too early and jeopardize my own financial security? The answer lies in careful planning, not avoidance. You don't have to sacrifice your well-being to help others. Instead, you structure your finances to create room for well-timed generosity while ensuring your needs are covered. It's about balance, not recklessness. Imagine the ripple effect of giving early. A young person receives help paying for higher education, avoiding years of crushing debt. An entrepreneur gets seed money for their business when enthusiasm and risk tolerance are high. A family receives support to buy their first home, creating stability for generations. These moments change lives, and they rarely happen if the gift arrives decades too late. It's also worth considering the emotional side of giving. One of life's greatest joys is seeing your resources create positive change for the people you love. Watching your children, siblings, or friends thrive because of your support is deeply fulfilling. Waiting until after death robs you, and them, of that shared joy. The tragedy is, many people hoard wealth out of fear, driven by an outdated narrative that responsible giving only happens when they're gone. But as Perkins points out, responsible giving happens when your resources can actually be used, not hoarded indefinitely. Time-sensitive giving enhances lives. Delayed giving often becomes symbolic, but less impactful. So, how do you apply this practically? Start with a clear assessment of your financial position. Understand your needs, your security, and your long-term plans. Then, identify moments where your support could create meaningful impact for others. Ask yourself, do I have adult children or loved ones facing significant financial hurdles? Are there opportunities to empower someone's education, career, or entrepreneurial dreams? Could my support alleviate unnecessary stress, open doors, or create lasting experiences for someone I care about? The goal isn't to enable dependency, but to strategically invest in people's potential. Giving doesn't just mean handing over cash, it means contributing to growth, opportunity, and experiences that align with both your values and the recipient's needs. This approach also invites open conversations about wealth, inheritance, and life planning within families, conversations that foster transparency, understanding, and shared purpose. When everyone's aligned on timing, intention, and impact, financial gifts become tools for empowerment, not just transactions. And here's your reflective challenge for today. Who could you empower right now with your resources instead of waiting until it's too late? Think deeply about the people in your life, their challenges, dreams, and potential. Is there someone whose life could change dramatically with your timely support? Is there an experience, opportunity, or burden you could help with, creating joy and momentum while you're still here to share in the impact? Because here's the truth. Giving, while it matters, isn't just about the recipient. It's about living fully. Witnessing your resources create change, and leaving behind not just wealth, but a legacy of intentional, life-shaping generosity. So don't default to outdated traditions of delayed inheritance. Instead, embrace Perkins's philosophy. Time your financial gifts with precision, compassion, and a deep understanding of life's stages. Empower others when your resources hold the most potential for change. Watch their lives flourish, and know that your wealth served its highest purpose while you were still here to celebrate the results. Section 7. Don't oversave out of fear. If there's one emotion that quietly robs millions of people of a fulfilling life, it's fear. The fear of running out of money. It's a deep, often unspoken anxiety that drives people to oversave, overplan, and underlive. It convinces them that no amount of wealth is ever enough, that security lies only in relentless accumulation, and that joy, adventure, and meaningful experiences should always come later, once the numbers feel safe. But in Die with Zero, Bill Perkins exposes the hidden danger of that mindset. When fear becomes your financial compass, it doesn't lead to safety. It leads to regret. The core principle here is simple but profound. Oversaving out of fear means you're underliving. You're sacrificing your most vibrant years, your health, your relationships, and your potential for unforgettable experiences, all for the illusion of future security that may never come. Here's the hard truth many people ignore. Life is finite. Time is your most precious resource, and unlike money, you can't earn more of it. If you spend your healthiest, most energetic years trapped in a scarcity mindset, delaying joy out of fear, you may reach the end of your life with a well-padded bank account, but an empty heart full of missed opportunities. Of course, no one's saying you shouldn't plan for the future. Responsible saving, investing, and financial discipline are essential. But Perkins argues that excessive caution, born from exaggerated fears of what if, creates paralysis. People hoard wealth, obsess over worst-case scenarios, and convince themselves that fulfillment must always be postponed, just in case. The problem is, life rarely waits for your fears to subside. Let me share a real-world story that brings this lesson to life. I once knew a woman named Karen, a brilliant accountant who spent her entire life focused on one goal: financial security. She meticulously tracked every expense, cut unnecessary costs, and lived far below her means. Vacations? Too expensive. Dining out? Wasteful. Pursuing hobbies or passions? Irresponsible. Every dollar was earmarked for the future. Every decision filtered through the lens of fear. What if I run out of money? What if something goes wrong? Karen was proud of her discipline, and her bank account reflected it. She saved aggressively, invested wisely, and by traditional standards, she was winning the money game. But as the years passed, something heartbreaking happened. Friends invited her on trips. She declined. Family gatherings came and went. She stayed home. Opportunities for joy, growth, and connection arrived, and she said, maybe later. Then, unexpectedly, her health began to decline. The adventures she once dreamed of were physically impossible. Her energy faded, her world shrank, and suddenly, the wealth she'd accumulated became meaningless in the face of lost time. Karen realized too late that her fear-driven saving hadn't created security. It had stolen her chance to truly live. Her biggest regret? Not trusting herself enough to enjoy life along the way. This is the tragic irony Perkins highlights. Oversaving doesn't guarantee safety. It often guarantees regret. Fear whispers lies that rob you of your vitality. You're not ready. You need more. You'll never have enough. But the reality is, true financial freedom includes the courage to enjoy your wealth, not just accumulate it. So, how do you apply this practically? It starts with acknowledging fear's grip and replacing it with clarity, planning, and trust. Here's how. 1. Run realistic financial calculations. Many fears stem from uncertainty. People oversave because they've never taken the time to understand how much they truly need. Sit down with a financial planner or use reliable tools to project your future needs. Map out your income, expenses, and reasonable safety nets. Often you'll discover that you're more secure than fear leads you to believe, and that you can start living more fully, sooner than you think. 2. Embrace the balance of risk and reward. Life involves risk. It always has. But excessive caution leads to stagnation. The goal isn't to eliminate risk entirely. It's to manage it while still pursuing joy, adventure, and meaning. Recognize that calculated risks, like investing in experiences, relationships, and passions, often bring far greater returns than hoarding wealth ever will. 3. Adopt a healthy money mindset. Shift from scarcity thinking to abundance thinking. Instead of obsessing over what might go wrong, focus on what could go right when you trust yourself to enjoy your resources. Cultivate gratitude for what you have, confidence in your ability to adapt, and belief that your life is meant to be lived, not just secured. 4. Start small. Build confidence. If fear is deeply ingrained, don't try to overhaul your mindset overnight. Start small. Allocate a portion of your savings specifically for experiences, travel, hobbies, family time, or personal growth. As you witness the joy and fulfillment those choices bring, your confidence will grow and fear will loosen its grip. Let me be clear. This isn't about abandoning responsibility or living recklessly. It's about breaking free from the illusion that more money equals more safety, and recognizing that often the greatest danger isn't running out of money, but running out of time to use it meaningfully. I want you to imagine your life 10, 20, or 30 years from now. Picture your bank account growing, but your body slowing. Your wealth rising, but your opportunities narrowing. The dreams you postponed, the adventures you delayed, the connections you neglected, all sacrificed at the altar of fear. Now, imagine the opposite. Picture trusting yourself enough to use your wealth intentionally today. See yourself traveling, connecting, creating memories, pursuing passions, all while managing your future with wisdom, not fear. Which version of your life feels richer, more meaningful, more aligned with your deepest values? Here's your reflective challenge for today. Is fear holding you back from living? And what's one small step toward trusting yourself more? Maybe it's booking that trip you've been postponing. Maybe it's investing in your health, starting a passion project, or simply treating yourself to an experience that sparks joy. Whatever it is, let that step be a declaration that your life isn't ruled by fear, but guided by intention, trust, and the understanding that your wealth is a tool for living, not just saving. In the end, the true danger isn't running out of money. It's running out of time, energy, and the courage to live while you still can. Don't let fear convince you otherwise. You are capable. You are resourceful. And your life deserves to be filled with memories, not just numbers on a screen. So take that first small step. Replace fear with action. And choose to live. Not later, but now. Section 8. Know your decline curve. One of life's most unavoidable truths is that time takes its toll, not just on the calendar, but on our bodies, energy, and abilities. Yet, many people live as though they have endless time, postponing experiences, adventures, and even relationships for some vague future when the time is right. But Bill Perkins, in Die with Zero, delivers a sobering, essential reminder. Your health, energy, and physical capabilities follow a decline curve. And pretending otherwise is one of the fastest routes to regret. The core principle of this section is simple, but often ignored. Your body and mind have a shelf life. They do not remain in peak condition indefinitely. Whether we like it or not, aging is real, decline is inevitable, and certain experiences have an expiration date. Knowing and accepting your decline curve isn't about fear. It's about empowerment. When you understand your limitations and anticipate how they will evolve, you can plan your life with intention, squeezing the most out of your years before your physical state starts saying no. We've all heard stories of people waiting for retirement to travel the world, pursue passions, or chase lifelong dreams, only to discover that by the time they have the money, they no longer have the health or energy to enjoy those experiences. It's a harsh but common reality. You don't have to look far to find examples of dreams deferred until they quietly disappear, overshadowed by the inevitable decline of age. Here's the thing. The decline curve looks different for everyone. Some people remain active and energetic well into their later years, while others face health challenges much earlier than expected. Genetics, lifestyle, luck, it all plays a role. But regardless of specifics, the overall trajectory is the same. After a certain point, your capabilities will wane. The question isn't if decline will happen. It's when, and whether you're making the most of the window before it arrives. Let me share a real-world story that illustrates this point with brutal clarity. A man named James spent his life building a successful business. He worked tirelessly, rarely taking vacations, always telling himself, "When I retire, I'll travel the world, see the places I've always dreamed of, hike the great trails, and finally enjoy life." His plan was straightforward: accumulate wealth first, experiences later. James retired at 65 with significant financial resources. But there was one problem. His body wasn't cooperating. Years of stress, a sedentary lifestyle, and the natural process of aging caught up to him. His knees were weak, his back was painful, and his endurance was a shadow of what it had been in his younger years. The grand hiking expeditions? Impossible. The cultural exploration and walking tours? Exhausting. Even long flights became physically uncomfortable. James had the money, but the window for his most ambitious experiences had closed. He waited too long. The decline curve he had ignored was now dictating his life, and all the dreams he had deferred slipped through his fingers, not for lack of funds, but for lack of time-sensitive health. This is exactly what Perkins urges us to avoid. The idea isn't to live recklessly or disregard financial planning. Instead, it's to embrace the reality that your body and mind have their prime, and experiences should be aligned with that prime, not endlessly delayed. How do you apply this practically? 1. Assess your current stage of life. Be honest about your health, energy, and capabilities today. Are you in your prime? Are you starting to feel the early signs of decline? Or are you already experiencing limitations that restrict your choices? Understanding where you are on the curve allows you to make informed, intentional decisions about how you spend your time and money. 2. Prioritize time-sensitive experiences. Some adventures, like hiking Machu Picchu, backpacking through remote areas, or intense physical challenges, have clear expiration dates. Others, like long-haul travel or even certain social experiences, become harder with age. Make a list of experiences that fit your current capabilities and prioritize them while your health permits. The earlier you engage, the richer your life becomes, not just in memories, but in confidence that you're not missing your window. Third, plan with your future self in mind. Visualize yourself 10, 20, or 30 years from now. Picture your energy levels, your health status, and your mobility. Now ask, what experiences will likely become harder or impossible by then? Don't wait until that future arrives to face the consequences. Use that vision to guide your choices today, ensuring you extract the most from life while you still can. 4. Balance risk with reality. It's natural to worry about spending money too early and running out later, but fearing the future so much that you delay experiences until they're unattainable defeats the purpose of wealth and health altogether. Responsible planning includes recognizing your decline curve and ensuring you use your prime years for experiences that truly require youth, strength, and stamina. There's another subtle but powerful benefit to knowing your decline curve: peace of mind. When you live in denial of aging, every year feels like a gamble, constantly hoping you'll have time later. But when you embrace reality, plan intentionally, and prioritize experiences appropriately, you reduce anxiety about missed opportunities You gain clarity, confidence, and a sense of control over your life trajectory. Now, I want you to pause for a moment and reflect deeply. Here's your challenge. What experience are you risking losing by waiting, and how can you claim it sooner? Think about that dream trip you've been postponing. The adventure you've always wanted but convinced yourself could wait. The physical challenge, the spontaneous travel, the daring leap into something outside your comfort zone. Are you certain your health, energy, and capabilities will support that experience 10 or 20 years from now? Or is your prime slipping by, one cautious decision at a time? It's uncomfortable to confront aging and decline. Our culture glorifies youth and often avoids discussions about limits. But wisdom comes from facing reality, not denying it. The sooner you acknowledge your decline curve, the sooner you can structure your life to maximize each phase, ensuring that your most ambitious, physically demanding, or adventurous dreams don't become casualties of waiting too long. Here's the takeaway. Aging is inevitable, but regret is optional. You can't control the curve entirely, but you can control your awareness and your actions. Your health, energy, and time are finite. Treat them as precious resources to be used wisely, not endlessly banked for a future that may never arrive in the form you expect. So, be intentional. Know your curve. Prioritize the experiences that belong to your current stage of life. And when the decline does come, you'll look back, not with regret, but with the satisfaction that you lived fully, courageously, and in harmony with the beautiful fleeting prime of your existence. Section 9. Use money to buy time. If there's one universal truth about life, it's this. Money is renewable, but time is not. You can always earn more money, but you can never earn back lost time. Once an hour, a day, or a year slips through your fingers, it's gone forever. That's why Bill Perkins, in Die with Zero, urges us to rethink how we use our money, not just as a means for accumulating wealth, but as a powerful tool to reclaim time for what truly matters. The core principle here is straightforward but life-changing. Use your money to buy time. Whether that means outsourcing tasks, simplifying your life, or delegating responsibilities, the goal is the same: to free up your most precious, limited resource so you can invest it in meaningful experiences, relationships, and personal growth. Far too often, people get trapped in the hustle of daily life, buried under endless to-do lists, chores, errands, and responsibilities that drain their energy but add little joy or fulfillment. They convince themselves they're saving money by doing everything themselves. But at what cost? The hours spent mowing the lawn, scrubbing floors, filing paperwork, or managing every detail of life often steal the very time they long to use for family, health, adventure, or passion projects. Imagine this. You work hard all week, juggling your job, your home, your errands. By the time the weekend arrives, instead of resting, connecting with loved ones, or pursuing your hobbies, you're stuck catching up on chores. The days blur together, life feels rushed, and that elusive sense of freedom keeps slipping further away. This is where Perkins offers a liberating solution. Buy your time back. Use your resources strategically to delegate the tasks that drain you so you can reclaim your hours for the things that truly light you up. It's not about being extravagant. It's about being intentional with how you allocate both your money and your time. Let me share a real-world story that perfectly illustrates this principle. Meet Alex, a successful marketing executive with a demanding career, a young family, and a long list of personal goals. For years, Alex tried to do it all, working late nights, managing household chores, handling every detail of life personally. The result? Burnout. His health suffered, his relationships strained, and the things he was working so hard for, family time, health, fulfillment, felt perpetually out of reach. Then, Alex made a pivotal shift. He ran the numbers, reassessed his priorities, and realized that his time was far more valuable than the money he was saving by doing everything himself. So, he hired a cleaning service to manage the housework, outsourced lawn care, and even brought in virtual assistants for administrative tasks. The change was immediate and profound. Suddenly, Alex had evenings free to play with his kids, exercise regularly, and pursue hobbies that had been buried under responsibility for years. His weekends transformed from stress-filled catch-up sessions to rejuvenating, joyful experiences. His energy returned, his family thrived, and his sense of fulfillment skyrocketed. All because he made the conscious decision to buy back his time. This isn't just about convenience, it's about creating space for life. Your most valuable moments often come from the freedom to be present with the people you love, to nurture your health, to explore the world, or to dive into creative passions. When you're drowning in busyness, those moments disappear. But when you intentionally invest your money to reclaim time, life becomes richer, more balanced, and deeply fulfilling. Here's how to apply this practically. 1. Identify time drains. Start by auditing your week. Where is your time going? Which tasks consistently drain your energy without significantly enhancing your life? This could be anything from household chores to administrative work to errands that could be automated or delegated. Awareness is the first step to reclaiming control. 2. Calculate the true cost. Many people avoid outsourcing because they see it as an unnecessary expense. But consider the true cost, not just in dollars, but in lost time, energy, and opportunity. If hiring help costs $50, but frees up 2 hours of your time for family, health, or personal growth, the return on investment is often immeasurable. 3. Start small and build. Buying back time doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing approach. Start with one area that creates stress or eats into your time. It could be hiring a cleaner, using a meal delivery service, automating bill payments, or outsourcing specific work tasks. As you experience the benefits, you'll likely find the motivation to expand this approach. 4. Align with your values. The goal isn't to outsource everything. It's to buy back time for what matters most to you. If you love gardening, keep doing it. If cooking is your creative outlet, embrace it. But if tasks feel draining, distracting, or prevent you from living fully, those are prime candidates for delegation. This mindset shift requires releasing outdated beliefs that glorify doing it all or equate busyness with worth. True freedom comes not from shouldering every responsibility, but from designing your life so your time reflects your values, priorities, and deepest desires. Now, here's your reflective challenge. What's one area where spending money could instantly reclaim your time and improve your life? Take a moment to envision it. Maybe it's hiring help for household tasks so you can finally take that evening walk with your partner. Perhaps it's outsourcing business tasks so you can focus on your health or passion projects. It could be as simple as paying for convenience, meal prep services, grocery delivery, or automated systems that free up mental space and physical time. Ask yourself, is the money I'm saving by doing everything myself truly worth the time and energy I'm losing? Perkins reminds us that money is a tool, not just for security or status, but for creating space to live. When you use it to buy back your time, you're not being wasteful. You're investing in your most finite, precious resource. In the end, A life well lived isn't measured by how many tasks you completed or how much you saved by doing it all alone. It's measured by the memories you made, the relationships you nurtured, and the experiences that filled your days with purpose and joy. So, buy your time back. Use your money strategically and reclaim your life, one liberated hour at a time. Section 10. Create a life of no regrets. At the heart of Die with Zero by Bill Perkins lies one of life's most powerful, confronting questions. When you reach the end of your journey, what will you regret? For many, this reflection arrives too late. On their deathbeds, people often find themselves wishing they had lived differently, taken more risks, embraced more joy, and spent more time with the people who mattered. They rarely regret the money left unspent, but they deeply regret the experiences left unlived. The core principle of this section is not about reckless spending or abandoning responsibility. It's about thoughtful, intentional living designed to minimize regret and maximize fulfillment. Perkins doesn't suggest we empty our bank accounts in a flash of indulgence. Instead, he invites us to live with such clarity, courage, and alignment to our values that when our final days arrive, we face them with peace, not longing for second chances. Why does this matter so much? Because life is painfully short, and time, once gone, is irretrievable. Most people operate under the illusion of endless tomorrows, always thinking, I'll travel later, I'll spend time with family next year, I'll chase that dream once I'm more secure. But those tomorrows are never guaranteed. Health declines, circumstances shift, people drift away or pass away. And suddenly, the window to live fully has slammed shut. Perkins argues that the real tragedy isn't dying with money. It's dying with regrets. Regrets that you postponed adventures, that you played it too safe, that you waited for perfect conditions that never came. Regrets that you saved every penny but starved your soul. Contrast that with someone who embraced the die with zero philosophy and created a life that rippled with fulfillment. Let me share their story. Meet Sophia, a woman who, from an early age, made a conscious decision to live intentionally, not recklessly, but with bold alignment to her deepest values. She didn't wait for retirement to travel. She prioritized experiences throughout her life. She invested in relationships, made memories, and used her money as a tool for living, not just saving. At 40, Sophia took a 6-month sabbatical to backpack across South America, despite concerns from friends about pausing her career. But that journey became one of her life's defining chapters, filled with adventure, growth, and lifelong friendships. At 50, she funded her niece's education, knowing the impact would last generations. At 60, she downsized her home to free up resources for travel and passions. By her later years, Sophia had fewer possessions but an abundance of stories, relationships, and memories. When illness arrived, as it inevitably does, she faced her final days not with regret, but with gratitude. She had lived. Her choices inspired those around her to rethink their own relationship with time, money, and meaning. Sophia's story isn't rare because of luck. It's rare because most people never give themselves permission to live that way. Fear, cultural expectations, and inertia keep them trapped in a cycle of saving for an undefined someday that may never come. So, how do you create a life of no regrets? It begins with radical reflection, intentional planning, and courageous action. 1. Reflect on what truly matters. Take time to sit with the big questions. What experiences light me up? Who are the people I want to prioritize? What dreams am I suppressing for the sake of false security? Align your spending, your time, and your energy with those answers, not with societal scripts or outdated fears. 2. Plan intentionally, not accidentally. Design your life proactively. Map out your goals, desired experiences, and financial needs in tandem. Don't stumble through decades waiting for the right time. Instead, structure your savings, your calendar, and your mindset to make room for intentional living today, not just someday. 3. Accept risk as part of living fully. No life worth living is completely safe. Risks, financial, emotional, or experiential, are inevitable when you lean into joy and growth. But the greatest risk is playing it so safe that life passes you by. Balance prudence with boldness, always remembering that regret often stems more from what you didn't do than from what you tried and failed. 4. Use money as a tool, not a trophy. Wealth is meant to enhance your life, not become your life's sole focus. Saving is wise, but hoarding becomes a prison when it prevents you from living fully. Shift your mindset. Your resources are there to create memories, to support loved ones, to fund passions, not just to accumulate for accumulation's sake. 5. Embrace experiences, not just possessions. Studies and common sense tell us experiences bring more lasting fulfillment than material things. A new gadget fades, a life-changing trip, a shared adventure, or a personal milestone stays with you forever. Direct your resources toward experiences that align with your values and aspirations. Now, here's your reflective challenge. Fast forward to your final days. What do you want to remember? And what actions start today? Picture yourself, decades from now, looking back on your life. What moments fill you with pride? What adventures, connections, and milestones stand out? Now, ask yourself, are you actively creating those memories, or merely waiting for the right time to start? Don't wait for retirement, perfect health, or absolute certainty. Those conditions may never align. Instead, live now with thoughtfulness, courage, and intentional joy. Every small step, whether booking that trip, reconnecting with a loved one, or pursuing a long-buried passion, builds a life that, in hindsight, is free from the ache of regret. Perkins reminds us that your final days shouldn't be haunted by what-ifs. They should be illuminated by the richness of experiences embraced, relationships nurtured, and passions pursued. You don't have to empty your bank account overnight, but you do have to empty your excuses, the belief that life is something to be postponed, rather than lived in full right now. A life of no regrets isn't accidental, it's designed. It requires reflection, action, and a willingness to challenge cultural narratives that glorify saving while downplaying living. It asks you to trust yourself, to believe that with careful planning, you can both protect your future and honor your present. So, start today. Make the call. Book the experience. Reprioritize your time. Invest in your dreams. Because in the end, the true measure of a successful life isn't what you saved, but how boldly, joyfully, and intentionally you lived. Conclusion. As we come to the end of this powerful journey through Die with Zero, let's pause for a moment and let these lessons settle deep within us. If there's one message that echoes through every page of this book, it's this: life is for living. Your time, your energy, your health, they are fleeting, precious gifts. And while money matters, its greatest purpose is to create meaningful experiences, not to sit untouched in a bank account collecting dust until it's too late. We've talked about how experiences, not possessions, become the true treasure of our lives. We've explored how timing is everything. The alignment of your health, your wealth, and your time determines whether you live with vibrancy or end with regrets. We've seen the importance of investing in memories while you can, understanding your decline curve, using money to buy back time, and planning your life with intention. And most importantly, we've shattered the myth that life should be postponed for the sake of hoarding wealth, only to realize too late that money without memories is an empty victory. Now, I want to inspire you to act, to reframe your relationship with money and time, to stop waiting for the perfect conditions and start crafting a life that, when you look back, fills you with pride, not regret. Ask yourself, what is one experience you've been delaying? One decision you've been postponing? One dream you've kept on the shelf, waiting for someday? The truth is, someday is not promised, but today is here. Your time, your energy, your health, they are at their peak now, more than they ever will be again. So plan that trip, start that passion project, call that loved one, pursue the adventure, however small it may seem. Don't wait until you're out of time, out of energy, or looking back with what-ifs. If this video sparked new thoughts for you, if it challenged your mindset or reignited your dreams, please like this video. It helps more people find these life-changing ideas. I'd love to hear from you. Comment below with the most powerful insight you're walking away with, or the bold action you're ready to take. And please, share this video with someone you care about, someone who might be stuck waiting, who needs this reminder to live with intention and joy. If you want more informative book summaries and real-world strategies to help you design a fulfilling life, subscribe to this channel and join our growing community of people ready to live boldly, not cautiously. And remember this: wealth isn't measured by your bank account when you die, but by the richness of your memories when you live. So, go create them. Your life is happening now. Make it unforgettable.